In a world where hopium and common sense collide, starring the CryptoKeeper and BlockchainCrusader. Welcome to Debate Crypto.
Question everything.
Rush nothing.
It's your boys, Keeper and Crusader, and we've got a special guest on this evening, the one and only Miggy Crypto. How you doing, Miggy?
I'm doing well, guys. I appreciate y'all having me on the show tonight.
Dude, we are looking forward to it. For those of you that don't know Miggy, first of all, we're going to pull up some info here. I'm going to show you his Twitter in a second, but definitely give him a follow. There's a lot of people that have come over from the crypto space into the NFT space as part of our journey. And Miggy, as you're going to find out tonight, is in deep in the NFT space. So that's why we brought him on, because tonight we're starting a new series. We're going to be doing NF Tuesdays. So for those of you that are really digging the NFT space, for those of you that are in Danger Close Alpha, for those of you that just say, hey, you know what, that's interesting, I'm interested in that, NF Tuesdays are going to be for you. So make sure that you guys check that out. That is what we're going to be doing on Tuesdays moving forward. So question everything, trust nothing, right? And that includes the NFT space. So we're going to dive into it. Make sure to smash the likes, guys. Follow Miggy. Obviously, do all the things that we're always asking you to do. Follow us on Twitter and all that. Let me just show real quick. Bada bing, bada boom. So here's Miggy. We got at Crypto33 Miggy. So I'm going to zoom in on this real quick. At Crypto33 Miggy. Make sure to give him a follow there if you're not already following him. And then, as always, guys, we're up to 1,346 followers. We got a nice new band of people. For those of you that are in the Discord, probably saw some chaos last night. I just want to tell you, the chaos was actually purposeful. We had a great space with Loudmouth. Things were rocking and rolling. Miguel, the crypto, the space is pretty flat right now. We're down about 3%. If you want to do a little bit of TA, we're down 3%, and I can just tell you guys without diving into all the prices. Bitcoin's at 18,896, so we're under 19, and ETH is under 1,600. Well, actually, let me update this. Hold on to make sure that I'm giving you good numbers here. Yeah, Bitcoin's at 18.9 and ETH's at 15.73, so those are good numbers. You want to pop off on a little TA, Miguel?
Yeah, let's look at some TA real quick to see what happened today. So you guys can see Bitcoin had a massive rejection here at this heart line. Once again, lost 20,000 support, right? Massive red candle on the daily, guys, dropping all the way down to about 18.7 or so. As you guys can see here in the momentum wave, right? We got a red dot started coming down. Money flow went negative. VWAP's going negative. And even though the RSIs are low, they're still heading down. So what do you want to call this? Manipulation, FUD, right? People are starting to sell the rumor. Who knows, right? But we do have this pivot support here, this quarterly support at 16,000. Hopefully we don't have to revisit those levels or ever again. But if we do, look out for this level right here. Maybe we have a bounce from here back to have a retest of this heart line. But I've been telling you guys, until we break this heart line and stay well above it, we broke above it here for a short period of time back here, but we could not hold it as support. We're going to keep ranging downwards, right? We are in a downward regression trend, and we've been in this trend, if you guys see here, for a long time, all the way since October of last year. And we're going to continue. The trend is your friend until the end, and that is what's going to keep happening here.
Yeah, we shall see. One of the things that is beautiful about a building market, about a bear market, is you have opportunities every day to possibly dollar cost average. A lot of people that are in here, one of the reasons that they're really frustrated possibly is because they bought maybe more towards the top. And that's one of the crappy things about FOMO, about getting introduced maybe to the space at the quote unquote wrong time. But I believe that any time has not been the wrong time. I think we're still early. Even if you bought towards the top of this last market, it's going to take time to flip back around, but the opportunities are there, and these low prices are where it's at for you to be able to help with that. The other thing that we got is, you guessed it, NFTs, and that's why we've got the expert on the panel. We got Miggy on the panel to talk some NFTs. So, Miggy, give us kind of an overview, first of all, kind of tell me a little bit of your story, like how you got into the NFT space, how long you've been around. I know some people have heard you speak on panels, but a lot of the people here have not been to the IRL events, as we've done together. Miggy spoke on some panels with me and all that. Talk to me about your story a little bit.
Well, so I started off somewhere between 2011 2012.
Ooh.
I'm not really sure, like, it was or like what introduced me to Bitcoin. All I know is it like fell in my lap, came across my face, and when I really started to look at it, look at the potential of the blockchain and the ability to really just take information and have it, be transparent and automated, is really powerful. And it just so happened, that information was talking about cryptocurrency. So for the last 10 years, I've as much as possible participating. The first few years I was with doing stuff with Bitcoin. I was trading. I was logging in and making accounts for every single exchange that would pop up, going on every platform. Basically typing in Bitcoin in Google search, and if there was a website that came up, I would click on it and check it out. From faucets to mini games to platforms to, I mean, everything, you name it. I've bought and sold and traded Bitcoin literally every single way possible. At one point, I was selling paper wallets on eBay. Back,
Really?
yeah, like when they before they moved it to classifieds and you couldn't sell Bitcoin on there. There was a
So
little.
what's the cheapest? So what's the cheapest you've ever bought Bitcoin?
Oh man, I don't know. I was buying it back in 2012, 2013. So I think at that point the range was probably between $300 and $600 at the time that I was trading it, and the markup for the resale prices was $10 worth of Bitcoin for $40. Easily on eBay, peer to peer, other different platforms. And the demand was actually a lot higher then than it was now because it was harder to get, and that was one key thing for me. I spent a lot of time figuring out where to get it from, besides mining, because, unless you ran miners, there wasn't really another way. So I spent ways to earn and get Bitcoin, and then, how to sell it. And so,
that's wild. So sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but basically what you're saying is that back then it was hard to get because it was the supply was so small because it was so new that the miners were the people that were really into the space. There weren't people like myself and Crusader and you really that much into the space. So you had to actually actively search it out. So when you could find it, you were paying quite a premium on it to get it because the only people that had it was the miners and the supply and demand. And they said, hey, we know what we've got. And we're going to sell it, but we're going to sell it at a markup is essentially what you're saying, right?
Yeah. I mean, the key was as it is now, finding it at the lowest price possible and then just selling it on the market at the current, price that people were looking for. Because people were willing to buy, the people that knew about it, they were willing to pay anything for it almost because it was, even now, like it's really not that easy to get. But minus trading on an exchange, which they're very, I started off on like BTCE, and then Kraken came along, and then Binance came along, and then Bittrex came along. So like I have counts from those from the very beginning. But yeah, no, it was an interesting, couple of years. During that time, I also spent a lot of time building small communities, small groups, and teaching people. For me, my big focus was, capitalizing in a market that not a lot of people knew about. So get into more of the consulting route and educating route was where I started, and was really effective because at first, as anybody that first gets into Bitcoin, they do the whole, hey, everybody buy Bitcoin. Here's all the amazing reasons you should be in it. And if you're not in it, you're an idiot. You know what I mean? And nobody really responds well to that. So it wasn't until I was just more proactive in doing more with it, in, actively participating, buy, selling, and then those who saw what I was doing, out to me. So I changed from going to try to blast and reach out to people to just doing it, building, whatever I could, sharing what I found. And then little by little, people would just find me. They'd look for me. They'd hit me up and they'd be like, hey, I want to learn about this. Or I've got friends that want to learn about it. And did that for a long time, just because I was pretty outside like the core group of crypto, people that were there, especially going to events. So flash forward to, 2000. I think 21, I'm sorry, February 2021, I went to my first event, which was in Miami. Crap, can't remember which one it was, but it was Miami Crypto Experience. It was the first event that I went to, and ended up meeting the conference organizers, Ken Bozak, BitBoy Crypto, a few others, and really had an opportunity to meet others who had been in the space and really, could value my experience and my knowledge. And that was, shortly after I got involved with NFTs. Because prior to going to the event, I had a friend just drop me a wax NFT. I saw him doing some stuff, with NFTs, and it seemed really interesting. And at that time, not a lot of people were really into NFTs. And so it was something new to me that was coming out on the blockchain, and using cryptocurrency, a lot of things that I was very familiar with, because there had been nothing new that had come out as far as I knew, that whole decade. I mean, granted, NFTs were around. It just wasn't really, a thing that people talked about or knew about unless you were really, actively in it. And so I got my first NFT, which was from the Wax blockchain, was a Street Fighter NFT. Then I got plugged into Ken Bozak's community. And so that was my first intro to like the NFT space. Really, really like, what I learned in the community of people who were very giving and sharing. And so did what I did with Bitcoin. I spent a lot of time just actively pursuing as much information about NFTs as I could. Because even then, a year and a half ago, there wasn't very much. Very few people knew about NFTs. They knew what they were, how they operate on the blockchain, and then where to find them, how to create them, how to buy them. So I started minting NFTs. Again, just kind of like Bitcoin, my goal was to produce and, see how I could get something and create, some type of passive income. And so I found myself meeting a lot of artists who were really good at, creating graphic art, digital art, or just art in general. And they were trying to get into the space, but just couldn't manage the time of creating art and then promoting it, running a community. And so that was something that I spent a lot of time doing. During that time period, I was very focused in with the community groups, Telegram groups, helping people figure out NFTs as I was learning, minting them, creating them, just spending a lot of time in the chat groups, helping people, until finally, I started working with a bunch of different artists. Started finding some really cool artists that were making really great art, started curating art for them, started partnering with different artists as well. Finally created my Crypto collection, which was then I made my website and found out about this NFT event. And so basically got geared up and prepared to go to that. Funny enough, at that time, again, nobody was really interested in NFTs. So it was interesting to get involved with a group of people who knew about it, especially Ken, who had been making NFTs since 2017.
So quick question about NFTs. And so you're talking about, you jumped in from crypto into NFTs, right? You were introduced with the Wax blockchain. So when you look at crypto and when you look at NFTs, how do you see that? How do you do a comparison between NFTs and the cryptocurrencies, the altcoins and stuff like that? How do you see that comparison coexisting?
So for me personally, just kind of like with Bitcoin, the biggest common factor was the blockchain technology. In reality, NFTs are not anything separate from cryptocurrency, because they utilize the same technology. And in fact, they're actually kind of like a third tier. So the way I describe it is that, you have the blockchain come out, and then with the blockchain, we utilize it to create cryptocurrency, to exchange information about money. And then from there, we use that cryptocurrency to tie it and peg it to different things, which, are now becoming JPEGs, GIFs, pictures, videos. So for me, it wasn't really a separate thing. It was just like the next evolution of what's going to come out of the blockchain. And so it was really easy for me to kind of grasp that idea and kind of put it together. And so, as many know, NFTs don't work without crypto, and crypto doesn't work without the blockchain. And so in order to move these assets, you have to utilize crypto, which is the main mechanism to actually transfer that information. The NFTs are just more of like a storage. You just have or whatever information you want to tag, and then you move it across the blockchain with.
Hey, let me cut you off, Miggy. Addison here, my little daughter, is always on here, and she jumps in to talk about Ledger. Do you store any of your she's a big proponent of being your own bank. Do you store any NFTs on hardware wallets currently?
I don't, but I was gifted one at at Consensus.
The Arculus?
No, it's a different one. I have an NFT hardware wallet and it has a display on it. Actually, I think I have it right here. Oh, it's called this one. I haven't opened it up and checked it out yet.
Okay.
But I was given this Nifty by SecuX. They gave it to me at Consensus. Supposedly the world's first NFT hardware wallet. It has a display.
I missed that one. Kind of
everything.
pissed. I don't know how I missed that one.
I finagled my way into it because I was working for CoinDesk for the conference, and so when I saw them, I was like, "Hey, do you guys want to give CoinDesk, some?" Well, it's not about me, but do you guys want to give us some? And so they did, and I told them, once I got into it and checked it out. But that honestly is something that I'm looking into because, as many of y'all know, being able to hold your assets, especially the more valuable ones, in a secure network or in a secure way off the network, is very important because of all the different hacks and things.
So Ledger's supporting it now. Did you know that?
Heard a little bit about what they have going on.
Yeah, I did it. I tested it. It was simple. It was literally as simple as any other transaction. There was nothing different. It was the same as me sending it from my MetaMask to your MetaMask. It was literally boom, bing, bong, boom. And the cool part was that bing, bong, boom is for Frankie Candles, Candle Mafia. Shout out to all y'all in the house. Frankie Candles, we love you, brother. But yeah, so I tried it. I don't even know how long ago it was. 6 weeks ago, something like that. And I was expecting for it to sit there and I'd be able to see the token ID, but I was like, that's going to be it. But you can actually see it. So I was actually really impressed on the Ledger Nano X. It supports it now. Yeah.
That's cool. And the technology is that easy. I mean, like I said, it's no different than crypto. So you should be able to have these assets on any hardware wallet. The problem is just the display, being able to actually see them and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So you've been in this for a long time, obviously longer than, and I guarantee probably anybody in the chat, definitely longer than Miguel and I. And that's a great thing. And it allows you to be able to, teach people things. What would you say, looking at the NFT space specifically, because it's NF Tuesday, right? What would you specifically say that you see happening right now in the NFT space that is maybe an evolving, changing, like hot topic as it relates to NFTs? I know I don't want to put it in your mouth, but I know that you talk about gaming. Is gaming where is that? Is utilitization where it's at? Like, what do you see as the hot topic right now of NFTs? And if you were going to suggest to somebody, hey, pay attention to this, what would it be?
Yeah, currently for me, it's the gaming area, which is funny because it's not necessarily in a space that I found, that I had thought I would ever be in. I like playing games, but I never imagined I would be like a gamer or anything at all. But seeing this past year, all the PFP projects, projects with or without utility, I found myself really honing in on the game space because of the community that already surrounds it. So just gaming in general, the gaming industry is bigger than sports and entertainment combined. Since the pandemic, there's been a major push. So that alone tells us that there's a lot of people spending a lot of money on things that they enjoy. They're not going to get anything out of it unless they go to tournaments or like creating content or just super elite gamer. And so for me, my biggest focus in the Web3 space overall has been education and onboarding, because I always knew that in order for me to be successful in the space, even let's say as a holder, if I was just going to sit and hold Bitcoin, it'll benefit me for other people to know and buy more Bitcoin and know how to. And so education was always key for me. And so with projects, especially the ones that are really able to kind of bring in all the aspects of the technology, there are a lot of teaching points in a way that's very easy for people to grasp because they're already doing things like playing games. So if you have a properly set up game that's running on the blockchain, you have every feature. You have, technology on the blockchain, transactions that are happening. You have cryptocurrency that's being utilized in game. NFTs now, where you're owning assets, character skins, weapons, accounts.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, games are also building in decentralized finance. They're putting in staking and passive generation of, tokens or assets. And so you have every feature found in the blockchain space. And it's easy to teach people with a game because it makes it more relatable. And that information is easier to digest. And so I just found myself getting more involved with games until recently. Very luckily, I was hired by 2 game studios right at the beginning of the bear market. And so I'm just trying to take all the things that I've done and, really push into the space, because I think for new users and investors as well, getting into a game project, obviously doing your own research and seeing what they're about, where they come from, but getting into a game project is because there's many utilities that they can provide, especially just having a functional game that's playable and fun. And so there's a lot of sustainability in that. Again, especially when we see what's happening in the game market now.
What did you say?
Did Nick freeze?
Did I freeze?
Frozen. You looked frozen for a minute there.
No, well,
gaming and gaming NFTs, I think, is where it's at. It's at least a safer bet. You have a lot more and have more functions that it's not just going to be a picture. Which art is great. Not to take away from any artist, but a lot of that is very speculative. And to have a community surround an art project that will support continually. Especially imagine how many pieces of art you buy in your lifetime. So combining that aspect with gaming, I think is going to be where it's at.
What are some of the more unique games that you're seeing out there right now in the NFT space?
Well, so far, one of the best games that I've seen, we actually became partners with one of the studios that I'm working for. Their game's called Meta Ops. They have their assets on Solana, but it's a first-person shooter. One of the highest quality
hold on a
games
second. It's got to be a failure already. It's going to turn off on you every other time you try to play. I'm just kidding. Continue.
Well, the good thing is for these kind of games, the game for the smart projects, their gameplay isn't on chain. Because of problems like that. If they ran their game on Solana and had the entirety of the game,
would bog the network down.
Exactly, and that's for any blockchain, any game. Very few blockchains like Wax is probably one of the few that are suitable to have gameplay, but you can only run so many different types of games on there. But for Meta Ops, they have their game, their assets are on Solana, but their gameplay is off chain. And really, like I said, really high quality, really great quality game, really great community group. And then also Forge Arena is another first-person shooter. This one is on Wax. They have their gameplay and assets on Wax. And then there's one that I'm looking at now called Undead Blocks, which is more like zombies version of it's like COD, but again, really high quality gameplay and very familiar feel. Or Call of Duty, it's real easy, real simple, and their whole thing is easy entry points. So Undead Blocks, you don't need to have an NFT to join the game. You just download it and play to get started, and earning and stuff like that too.
So how do you feel about so we've got Danger Close Alpha. We've talked to you about our project. You know what we're doing. And part of what we're doing is an alternate reality game. And we've got things that are evolving and changing as part of our story. Things are going in real life to people, to their home. Like things are happening in that manner, right? We thought it was a really creative, fun way to engage the community. And there's more coming that the community has no idea is coming with the upcoming drops that we have going on. I've seen a lot of interesting ideas thrown out as of late, especially in the NFT space, to gamify these projects. How much do you see that the gamification of projects holding up and really being a part of having a higher floor price, or the NFTs continue to flip? Or do you feel like it's more of a gimmick in the space and it just says, hey, you know what? We got this really cool little thing that like maybe people are getting like, I'm just curious, like, what's your opinion? Is the gamification a gimmick, or is it, hey, this interests people and it's fun, it's engaging, and so therefore they continue to do it?
Honestly, I think so one big reason why I really do like the gaming space with NFTs is because I think it'll lead to more projects that will create gamified systems. Currently, some of the gamification we see, can kind of fall flat, can be kind of gimmicky. But the idea of creating incentive for people to not just give support, or for people to give support, is different. There's not very many opportunities where you can buy into a product, a service, or good and really get anything out of it other than that product. And very few things out there are there to incentivize you to use their product, use their service, whatever it may be. really incentivizing people to support and supporting them back, I think will create a new culture, especially between businesses and consumers, because there's not a lot of that happening, and you see it when companies do that, when they actually give things back to their community, they gain so much more support, because you don't just want to be some kind of consumer where you're just buying a product and you're using the product because you like it, whatever it may be. But I mean, it's so much better if that product were like, hey, you know what, because you use our product, we're going to reward you for it. We're going to give you reasons to stay with us, to use our, maybe not just our one product, but multiple products. So, and on top of that, there are some major systems, major things that can be gamified and should be gamified in a matter of that incentive, as far as like, things that deal with finances. In the financial market, there's a lot of opportunities and areas for companies and banks to use gamification to create incentive. And I think that's going to be a key. Is, it doesn't apply to everybody, doesn't apply to every project, but my whole thing with gamification is that you just have a system of, you get support, you give support, and you find a sustainable way to do that. And so taking these game models and using their system of gamification and applying it to other things, I think will be, will lead away. I mean, it's obviously going to evolve and change, but I think the underlying factor is just having a company that you support, and being able to get supported back, is going to be a big push for that.
Nick, why do you keep freezing, dude?
I'm not freezing. I was like trying to go back and forth with you. I was like, giving you an opportunity to speak. I'm speaking too much over here.
You look like you're moving.
It's the mannequin challenge.
Yeah, dude, like every time I look at you, you're moving. Just, did you freeze?
That's so funny.
No, I'm excited to see where the space goes. Miguel and I have conversations just about every day about our personal project and things that, we created the project with this full on idea and a game plan. And the cool thing that I see happening, and I see it happening all over in the space, is that, so we start off with a full on plan, and there's a roadmap, right? And we're going to follow the roadmap. We're going to do what we've said we're going to do on the roadmap, because that was the core plan of what we're doing. I think it's cool to see, and I see it happening with a lot of other projects, where the roadmap's there, and then there's like these extra things that are like starting to happen, and you're like, well, it's almost like, was that an afterthought or was that a game plan all along? Miguel and I have a couple things that have been like oh man, we should really like tie that in. But we've also had some things that we've just kind of held back. And I think that's kind of some of the fun too, because it keeps people like interested in what's happening and want to engage, and kind of keep like wondering like, right, okay, like what's coming next. So that would be kind of my thought process is, do you see anything like what's coming next? I'm going to ask you about one in particular. One of them that we have just recently started to look at and have seen is the subsets of these NFTs. So I forget what they call. I forget the technical term that they're using. What is it? The subtrades. So basically, I'm sure you've probably seen these, Miggy, but let's just use an example of. We'll use our project for example. If we haven't done this, but if we had, let's assume that we had, right? Miguel hates I always give stuff away. Let's just say that we had like different characters in our group, in our game, in our NFT project.
We do. The hunter, the merchant, right, engineer, and the medic.
Yeah, so the hunter, the merchant, engineer, and the medic, right? So what people are doing is they are taking, let's say they weren't hunter, engineer, medic, let's just say they were all medics, for example, but the medics have all of their different traits. They're taking certain subsets of traits and saying, oh, if you have a naked medic, or if you have the medic with the cowboy hat or whatever, and they're subtrading these out into groups of people, and the people are basically having like a leader within that subset, and they are trying to push the floor prices up for their group, and not just push the floor prices up, but they're doing and engaging and like basically teaming up with others. Is this going to be a new movement, or is this just an idea that kind of it's kind of working right now? What do you think?
I mean, honestly, I think, people love to have their communities. And I think, if you enable a community to do that, to have their own sub communities, I think it'll help as far as the long run of sustainability, because you'll be able to have your groups be more in control. You know, everybody wants to be a part of something. Everybody wants
Yeah.
to belong to a group. As many people out there who will say they don't or they won't, you know, myself included, like it is great being a part of a larger group of people who share, you know, similar ideas, likes, dislikes, whatever. And I think with the PFPs and these subcategories is just it's fun, you know, to build your own little groups and to have your own little communities, you know, even in like little rivalries, you know, that aren't too hardcore. Like, and I think that we see that in the gaming community. You know, we see that where you have your gamers, Xbox versus PlayStation, COD versus, you know, all these different subsects. And so I think if, you know, we'll probably see more of it just because this is such a small, young community. You know, when you factor in that only 4% of the planet even have a Bitcoin wallet, which is the most common, you know,
4%.
Bitcoin, Ethereum, yeah, of the planet, of the
I'm
population.
surprised it's even that high.
Exactly. And so you take, you know, a smaller portion of that with NFTs, you know, probably maybe a 1.5%. I don't know, maybe push 2% as a big number.
Maybe,
And
yeah.
so there's a lot of opportunities for people to kind of find their niche, find their tribe, you know, find where they vibe, especially when they see a project that they like and they're like, oh, dude, I vibe with this. And oh, cool, I really like this aspect of this NFT, this specific trait. Traits too, and they're all about it, you know. And so let's buddy up, you know. There's just more opportunity to create more friendships, more community. And so I think we'll see more of that, especially if there's room to have that. If you see more projects, you know, enable that for their communities.
Yeah, I really agree with that. That people do like try to find their own little tribe, their own little community. Obviously, Nick is looking for naked medics. So, Danny, you're out there in the crowd. I know you're excited, bro. So you already know what community Nick's gonna be in. So I know Danny's gonna be all excited about being part of the naked medics. But yeah,
Miggy,
man,
let that one roll, dude. Don't even ask. That's that's for another
you know
day.
about that after the show. But I think it's a really cool thing, the whole sub trait thing, and you know the gamification that comes along with it. And like Nick said, right, there's a lot of surprises that are coming out pretty soon here in the next couple of drops, within the character drop, the mystery drop. You know, one of the things that we've been doing is Decipher. That we've been exploring our story of 2084, which is 100 years after 1984 from the book, right? And then we're exploring it through ciphers, and people are having to break these ciphers to figure out what is happening in the next drop, and how do they get it, and how do they figure out the details and explore the world at the same time of 2084. So I think there's a lot of different ways people can gamify these things, and it's very interesting how other communities are doing it and learning from different communities on how they do it, incorporating into your project, and having these projects continuously evolve.
Yeah, check this out, Miggy. So there is a riddle that they're trying to solve right now. I'm just going to read it to you. Obviously, you're never going to figure this out, but this is an example of like what's going on. So, I'm wired differently, yet solve your problem. Contact Denzel and AH from Berlin to find a way to get cleared for boarding. Ice appears at 39.0646 degrees and melts at 77.8896 degrees at the delivery location. Do not be discouraged. All routes lead to the numbers 71, 70, and 670. This is the day to spring the trap. And so there's this.
Wow.
So it's cool because I will tell you, we had one before, and I'll tell you what I like about it. You see teamwork happening within the Discord. You see people like there's people posting pictures in the Discord of like a notebook of, I'm talking about like you'd think they were like detectives, right? Like they've been walking around questioning people, you know, and they're crossing ideas off. Well, they said this. Well, wait a minute. No, that doesn't make sense because of this. Oh, I've got an idea here. And I think it's just a really fun, engaging way to get people's, you know, minds working. And the cool thing is, and this is something that we're exploring, you know, moving forward, is that, you know, you're talking about giving back to the community. We can give, so the last community member that figured out the last cipher is getting blessed with some commodities on this next drop, right? So he's getting some free stuff from the next drop. And so I think the cool part is not only are they engaging in the community and in the project, but they also understand that, hey, doing this and being a part of what's happening here not only is fun and engaging, and I get to communicate with a whole bunch of people that I vibe with, that I really you know, have grown to love, so to speak, but also, hey, There's no problem with winning a little bit of ETH, or there's no problem with,
Mhm.
with winning some free NFTs or whatever the case may be. And I think people really understand that, man, this can go both ways. It does. So
Yeah.
I think when Miguel and I first looked at the NFT space, we looked at it as a one-way street, that it was somebody creating an NFT saying, how much money can I pull out of this? Because it was so basic at first. That's kind of how it
Right.
felt. And what I'm seeing now is it's far from that, and that these communities are really rallying around each other, and the artists are working with the developers, are working with the content creators, are working with the people in the groups. I mean, we had people in our group creating little like fan art that we ended up using as a placeholder within our, for our delayed reveal. Like, it's just freaking cool to see. Do you see the community aspect of, I see the community aspect in a certain, how do you see the community aspect of this playing a role moving forward long term in the space?
Man, well, the community is definitely, a big area of focus for me. So I definitely see a lot of potential. Just because, again, being able to utilize the technology to where you can take information and data and securely transfer it, move it around, have it even be, transparent and public, automated in a way that, it creates a lot of opportunities. And so, especially when you're talking about money, being able to really have ownership of aspects of your life that you didn't have before. We're seeing, a new community emerge. A lot of people are really moving towards authenticity. They're really moving towards an integrated way of working together. Finding opportunities to where competition, is not the goal anymore, but cooperation.
Yeah.
And so I think with the projects that really focus on building a real community, instilling value into that community, but also creating an opportunity for those community members to also give uh, some value that they believe that they have. Contribution, is a big thing. And I think that adds to, people wanting to be a part of a group, but people also want to contribute and feel valued. And so, the community has a big play here, because with these projects, these NFTs, we're now reassessing what value is, what our value is as a human being and individual in this place, especially with monetary things, currency. And so
Yeah.
now values being reassessed, being repurposed. More individuals are seeing they have value as just being people and as part of a group. And so, I think that'll continue to build, especially again with projects who are enabling their community to contribute. Because, like you said, that is where the real key is. Like, it's one thing to create a project and get out there, but really give them the chance to contribute, to create value for themselves. I think that's where we're going to see the biggest aspect of community of that, because this is a unique space where participation really is the key. The more you participate, the more you benefit. The more you give, the more you can receive. And using the blockchain technology, it really makes that happen in a way that we can have checks and balances without any people really involved. Like, if it's on chain, it's on chain. That's why it's a trustless system. I have to trust your word. You either do it or you don't. And I can find that on transactional record. And so I think people will start to operate in that way as well.
Yeah. That's cool. I mean,
100%.
long term, yeah. You say, okay, well, I trust that this person's going to do this. Like, for example, last night when we did some giveaways to, talking to new people and that that are coming into our group, and we were doing some little giveaways and whatnot. Before I went to bed, because they were up so late, I was like, hey, I want to help out the community and give some more away, get some new people in here, whatever. I shot over a number of NFTs to Loud, right? And I thought about this morning, I was like, I totally trust that he gave those out. But guess what? I can check. You know what I mean? Like,
Exactly.
why are those still sitting in your wallet, kind sir? Yep. Or that's weird. They all went the same or you know what I'm saying? Like, it is cool. It's trust but verify. And that's funny, because that's how we start, question everything, trust nothing, right?
Yep.
And it's not about being like this negative person. It's about saying,
Right.
hey, we have a technology in front of us that can really show, hey, this is what I did.
Yeah,
so I
absolutely.
cool.
And I think that's going to be, a big change, because, we have a lot of people who worry about the scams, the rug pulls, the people who are dishonest. And, for me personally, my whole thing is, like, everybody should have an opportunity to participate. Whether you think so or not, every corporation, every company, every bank, every person should have the opportunity to participate, because the thing about this space is that are dishonest. If you do scam people, guess what? They're going to find out and they're going to know. And so you're going to lessen your opportunities to participate in this space because people realize they have choice of who they support and how they support. So it's like everybody should get a chance, because you only really get 1 or 2 chances before you screw things up, and it's on, you know, it's there. The information's on chain, or people know about it in the community, and you will lose that support forever. And so you're basically out of the game.
So what do you got going on? We're going to wrap this up, but what do you have going on personally? Is there anything that you want to talk to the community about? Just kind of let them know something that you're doing. I know we can find you on Twitter. All of his information is down below the video. So guys, please, Miggy, we called kind of last minute. He said he'd be willing to fill in, and I was like, heck yeah. We were super, you know, grateful that you're able to come on. So make sure to follow him. Let's rally as that community. Give him 40 plus new Twitter followers tonight, would you guys? It would be super appreciated for sure. But anything you want to touch on, Miggy, that you got going on?
Yeah. So again, currently I'm working for 2 different game studios. One of them is a new emerging studio that's being created, and the other one is one that's established. And so the established one is a company called Tasty Pill Games. They produce browser-based and mobile games and have done so successfully. And so the co-founder is creating a blockchain game. And so we have a drop coming up October 10th. We're going to do our pre-sale. The game's called Origin Heroes. You can find it in my bio or go to originheroes.com. We just uploaded our light paper. But what we're going to be dropping is our first set of 8,888 hero NFTs. These will be our Genesis NFTs, which will be needed for entry into the game. But these will be the only set of NFTs that come with a slew of benefits. So you'll get access to the first land drop. You'll get exclusive merch, and you'll also be able to mint the 2nd generation of hero NFTs. So everybody who buys one of the 8,888, you'll be in control of the market. So anybody else that comes in after that will either have to purchase one of your NFTs from Gen 1, or you can mint it using the Elixir of Courage, which will be the token, and your Gen 1 NFT. We're also going to be doing, you know, a lot of giveaways this next month. We're going to be scheduling weekly Twitter Spaces from our Origin Heroes page, and also working with different content creators as well. We have some gameplay trailer coming up, and our roadmap is out on our site. And so we're just really pushing for this first drop. You know, we're excited to build in the bear market, and you know, there'll be an opportunity to buy these NFTs at a low price because they will be on the Ethereum blockchain, but we'll also be using Polygon as well.
Okay.
And so that's the big thing that we have coming up, is that first set of 8,888 heroes are going to drop. Pre-sales October 10th, public sales October 12th. And again, these will come with a lot of benefits and extras that none of the other generation NFTs will have.
Do we know what the mint price is going to be?
Not yet. We're still waiting until this merge happens.
Yeah, to see what the ETH price is going to be.
Yeah, exactly. Because we don't. I mean,
we're
gonna, you know, appropriate it so that way, you know, we don't put a price and it's like, oh shit, now it's like $1,000 for that NFT. You know what I mean? So you know, we want it to be appropriate to the market, and so we pushed it back a little bit. So we're gonna wait and see what happens, but we'll be releasing the prices soon as well, probably over the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Well, dude, we really appreciate you for coming on, man. It has been a pleasure sitting next to you in a couple different state. I literally just about called it a stage event panels. It's been nothing but a pleasure, and you've been great in the NFT space. We've had some really deep conversations. I'm looking forward to continuing to work with you, grow with you, see you at events. So thank you for coming on. Crypto fam, we love you guys. If nobody's told you that before today, we're telling you now. You could be anywhere, but you are here on a NF Tuesday. Make sure you mark your calendars. This moving forward, we're going to be doing NF Tuesday. So if you're in the NFT space, or even if you're not and you want to get into the NFT space, make sure to check us out. Follow us on Twitter, jump in the Discord, follow Miggy, do all the social media things that everyone's asking you to do, except for do it more hardcore for us, because we love you and work for you. Question everything.
Trust nothing.
And until next time, hodl
like a top.
We'll see you soon.